Hi everyone and welcome to Protocol 36, and in today's video I'll be speculating the different types of Spider-Man games that Insomniac could use for inspiration when making Marvel Spider-Man 2. Now before we get started, if at any point you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you could drop a like, as that would really help out the channel. Thank you. It would also mean a lot to me if you could also subscribe, as I'm really close to 1000 subscribers, so if you could do that I'd really appreciate it. So in this video I'll be mentioning the 3 different types of Spider-Man games that Insomniac could be looking at when making Marvel Spider-Man 2. Obviously they're going to be using a lot of elements from the previous games like Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, but the reason why I wanted to make a video on this is because, as we all know, in Spider-Man PS4 not only did Insomniac take a lot of inspiration from the Spider-Man comics and even the movies, but also looked at the different types of Spider-Man games and taking a lot of elements whilst also doing their own thing, pretty much creating their very own Spider-Man game. And even though they've already created their own Marvel universe and game mechanics, I can still see them taking inspiration from past games, especially if it involves the Venom symbiote. Now the first game I'll be talking about is SpiderManShattered Dimensions. The reason why I mentioned this game is because a comment I saw by Geo, sorry if I mispronounced that, mentioned Shattered Dimensions and how they want Insomniac to implement some of the Ultimate Peter Parker's gameplay. And even though that was a wishful comment, I wouldn't be surprised if Insomniac during the making of Marvel Spider-Man 2 were looking at some of the gameplay for Ultimate Peter Parker, who's the only version of Spider-Man in Shattered Dimensions to have the symbiote, in order to make him different from the other Spider-Man. So if Marvel Spider-Man 2 will indeed deal with the symbiote storyline, where we could finally get the black suit, I think it would make a lot of sense if Shattered Dimensions was one of the Spider-Man games Insomniac looked at when it comes to some of the game mechanics of Spider-Man in the black suit and the different types of attacks with the tendrils. It would not only be extremely interesting but also be a lot of fun, especially if Insomniac add their own flavor to it. The other 2 games I've already mentioned in past videos, Spider-Man Web of Shadows and Spider-Man 3 the movie tie-in game, specifically the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions, as I wouldn't be surprised if Insomniac does create their own skill tree for the Venom symbiote, which is exactly what was done in Spider-Man Web of Shadows, in order to make the gameplay experience completely different compared to Peter in the normal red and blue suit, and of course give the players the ability to switch between suits at will, though I think there will be times where we'll be forced to wear the black suit in the game due to story reasons, but for the most part I think we'll be able to switch between suits at any point in time, pretty much becoming an unlockable suit. It was also mentioned in one of the leaks for Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I've covered in the past, talking about how Peter in the black suit will have his own skill tree, and of course both Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales were both open world games allowing us to free roam and wear any suit that was available, so it would only make sense for that to continue in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And of course for Spider-Man 3 the movie tie-in game, the reason why I mentioned this game is because in that game it had an interesting feature which would allow players to activate some type of rage mode ability when Peter Parker was in the black suit. So I can definitely see Insomniac use this similar to the Spartan Rage from the God of War games, specifically look at God of War 4. So in order to charge your rage mode you have to attack more, so you're finally able to use it, and whilst using it, it runs out the more you attack with it. And personally I would love it if Insomniac puts that specific feature in Marvel Spider-Man 2, once again assuming we do actually get to wear the black suit in the game, as even though it would be OP, it would definitely come in handy and show how powerful Peter Parker is in the Venom symbiote. Obviously this is just my guess on the different types of games that Insomniac could be looking at for Marvel Spider-Man 2. Obviously they could be looking at any type of game, even ones outside of the Spider-Man games, so we never really know until they come out and confirm it. However, I want to know what you guys think. What Spider-Man games or any type of games do you think Insomniac could be looking at for Marvel Spider-Man 2? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and want more, subscribe. To begin, Protocol 36.